Hi Collective, welcome back to another pick a card reading. My name is Felicia. You can find more information about me and what we're doing here at Felicia and Trees Tarot, as well as the Renaissance Movement, down in the description box. Thank you guys for being here. Today we're getting into a different kind of video topic, and let me get the prompt because I honestly forgot it, but it is what's the prompt? What is shifting between you and them within the next what shift is happening between you and them in the next 72 hours? Or just like what's happening, what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours in general, but it's kind of romantic-y. It could be around a specific person, but we're gonna get into it. But you are the English Laundry Perfume. Group 2, you are Cherry Treasure. Group 3, you are Kiss and Tell. And Group 4, you are Viva La Juicy. None of these perfumes are available in Cosmic Intelligence, but are definitely here for decoration. So choose your perfume, whichever one is calling to you today. But you can still check out Cosmic Intelligence using the links down below. I will link some pink perfumes if we have any in stock, or some other ones that you guys that are available currently. If you're thinking about giving back to the channel, also if you're thinking about booking personal readings, you can use the link down below, and I will try to respond to you guys as fast as possible. But let's get into it. Thank you guys for being here. Happy Memorial Day, or I hope that if you've had members of your family who have fallen in the military, I send my remembrances, and thank you guys so much for being here. But let's get into it, and I'll see you in your selection. Bye. Hi Group 1, welcome to your selection. So you chose this English Laundry fragrance. So let's see what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours. Okay, what's shifting within the next 72 hours, Group 1? So some of you guys may have been drawn to the last pick a card where the angel card came out. Okay, we have the woe. What's shifting between you and them? Actually, this doesn't have to be romantic, but we'll get more. Okay, we have the ship, and then what's shifting between you and them within the next 72 hours, and then the ending. Okay, this is kind of consistent. I think that I don't know who this person is. This could be romantic, but it definitely feels like this is not, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's a good situation, obviously. But I think that this situation involves somebody with an illness, a behavioral health or mood disorder, someone who like you're choosing not to support. And I think that this person, I don't think that these are, this is a particular person. Some of you guys, this could be friends, or this could be a friendship that you were considering, like you were considering it. Maybe you were considering working with them. Maybe you were considering, whether or not you should forgive them for something, or if you guys could still be friends. But I think that like this shift within the next 72 hours is pretty irreversible. It's 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 something that's been culminating. This ending is not. I think that you're looking forward to this ending. Some of you guys was shifting within the next 72 hours. You guys are going to do laundry or something like that. Some of you guys might have laundry to do or some house chores to do within the next 72 hours. Some of you guys are moving house or moving locations, and this could be what's shifting between the two of you or in general within the next 72 hours. But I think that, this situation, if this involves a particular person, I think that this feels like not like, it just feels like more than one person, but it's like this is somebody wearing green, okay, or someone that you consider them to be a L, okay, because of a psychological woe. You know what I'm saying? So I think that these people or a person have found you, and they haven't been mentally well, and so I think that you mourn and grieve for these people also. The relationships are ending because I truly don't think that they add any value, and I think that these people are still on like a discovery to, on a still on this journey to self-discovery. It is it's it's a it's a dynamic where, I want to say like it's kind of imbalanced, because not because they don't want to give to you, but because they're ill mentally. I think that it always just manifests as you helping them a lot, okay? um so it's not that you're not really adding value or giving to you, okay, is what I'm hearing. Venus, yeah, okay. Orange, mango, LOL. Or beauty, okay, LOL. So I think that with Venus energy, this this feels like a big, strong. This is an opposition of beauty, okay, and these people, something about them, they could be wearing pink, um, or there's you're pretty in pink, friend. So these people who, this is sensitive, but I honestly, it's kind of hard for me to pin this energy down because I don't know who this could be. But I think that, especially with Venus coming out here, this is somebody who has a persistent negative thought about your beauty, um, or some type of colors that you're wearing. And so, because they are not pretty in pink, or because they are not, what I'm saying, they have a mental illness, or they need to do some like more self-discovery, I think that just means that your relationship is not really working out with them, okay? Um, yeah, these water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces energies, okay? But heavy Cancerian energy, um, that kind of reflect like, they kind of reflect your opposition. So because the reason why they're opposition is because it's the opposition of your beauty, friend. And this is a really, really hard place to be in. And I think that what's shifting within the next 72 hours is that you end these relationships with people who are fluid but are envious of your beauty, okay? This is a very real relationship dynamic. Some of you, this is a fluid relationship that you're in that's romantic. That it might be a same gender relationship, But this situation has been fluid, and it may have been very refreshing. I think that you definitely experience love and charm and art and romantic affair and creative act, and I think that you definitely found the engagements to be pleasurable. If this is especially if you got romantic with these people, okay. But if this is like a same gender relationship, I think that this relationship was a part of you discovering a major part of who you are, um, helping you reach some type of self awareness. But I think that it was refreshing in that way. But I don't think that the relationship worked out because this is a shadow attachment, and a lot of them have been, I don't know, some of them, they could be, I think that they've watched you a lot with a crown, or they've watched you getting adorned, they've watched you getting honored a lot, they've watched you get taken care of a lot, they've watched you live like a very soft life, and they have not gotten the same results doing this or wearing this color, or whatever they're doing. They didn't get the same, results. And it wasn't really about beauty, right? We appreciate beauty, but there is an opposition to the beauty. But I also think that, especially if these are fluid people, they are very opposed to the beauty, okay? Because their it kind of contradicts their reality a little bit, or it challenges their fluidity, or it just it puts a big difference between your type of fluidity versus some other kind of fluidity, where you are like a pretty fluid person, or you're considered to be the most beautiful, and you have been like you keep running into, like, you keep meeting their psychological illness, right? I think that the reason in the first, like, the reason that they're fluid in the first place is because they don't match traditional beauty standards. But I think that something about you, especially because this came up in the last reading a bit, like the privilege of beauty or the appreciation of beauty, or having, you might not have a conventional beauty, but you definitely are a standard of beauty. And so this has made people very ill about you, okay? Um, yeah, secret competition, you know. They were in a secret competition and they're not really getting the same results. We have big butt, and then we have your divine masculine, yeah, LOL energy. So, this I think what happens within the next 72 hours is that the secret competition with your divine masculine comes to an end. And some of you guys, especially if these were fluid people doing a sport or in beauty and in aesthetics, these people really, they've been in a competition, okay? Because you've been fluid, maybe with a big butt, or they know that your divine masculine is attracted to you because of the way that your butt is shaped, or the way that your back looks, okay? It's big is what I'm hearing. And some of you guys are like, my butt is not big, or something like that. Your butt is big, okay? Or you at least have, wide hips or something like that. But, the people who are in a secret competition with you are the fluid people who don't have the same type of shaped ass as you. And so it is, that's ending because we know that it was just a mental illness about their fluidity, and them not able to accept your body and their body, and, it wasn't their man, okay? They were just a part of, some kind of fluid self-discovery, or they were just, people who were, started forcing the relationships, to try to compete for your partners. It's like they forced themselves into a rapport. And I just think that, the secret competition is like if they're wearing your clothes, if they're styling their hair the same way as you, or if they're trying to, like, the crazy part about it is, how do you not like me but try to do everything like me? That is what gets me. it's like something where they keep trying to do everything like you, or I think that ultimately, I don't know, I think they're trying to do everything like you, they're dressing up as you, but that's like to try to compete with you or something like that, okay? And it's because they have this fluidity challenge around their body image and accepting your body image. Perhaps you have a big butt and you're divine masculine. They know that this person likes it, and so they may have the secret. What's shifting within the next 72 hours is the secret competition that's been so, where their behavior has been mysterious. It is coming to an end. I think that this was a refreshing situation for you. It was something that you were not expecting, LOL. But I think that you realized that it was a secret competition. And I think that this is hard because they compared themselves to you so much. Like, because of your masculine's influence on you, their representation, like, fully embodied, like you becoming fully embodied through the activation of the divine masculine was a big difference. That they didn't get the same results, that their body wasn't chosen the way that you were, or their intimacy wasn't the same as yours, okay? Your reflection of the masculine energy is the logic, structure, and support that they provided for you, and how they were not offered the same logic, structure, and support, even if they're fluid, trying to wear pink or something like that. It just did not get them the same results, okay? And it was like, I think it was even more bewildering and awkward and kind of off kilter for them to be in a secret competition with you, because I think that it was just there was so many big differences, not just in the way your body is shaped, but just like who you are as an individual, okay? The divine masculine, really, really supported your growth and did not need to dominate and control you. They took leadership and took charge. They came in and offered you a gift or something like that. They were responsible, communicative, inspired to take action, and expanded your vision. And they did not, I think what's shifting in the next 72 hours is that, like, they are watching your divine masculine support your growth more, provide more structure, guiding you in a way, communicating with you, inspiring your actions, expanding your vision, encouraging you, and have aligned their work with yours in a humble and uplifting way. You know that your divine masculine is here if they have aligned their work with yours. And so, they've been in a secret competition for your masculine, and this person did not align themselves with them. Okay? So this person, I think that what's shifting within the next 72 hours is that they have to kind of stop telling themselves, some story that's delusional. They could be a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. It's like they need to kind of stop telling them. I think the story that they've been telling themselves, where they have pretended to have this masculine influence, or they've been wanting to, they've been wanting to be activated by them so bad, but they were not aligned with the work, and that was just like the bottom line. And so I think the secret competition where they have been delusional in and altering the reality about something is coming to an end, okay? These people have a woe about your butt, okay? And that's just the bottom line, okay? The way that it's shaped, the way that it's shaped from the front, okay? It is the Three of Swords for them, okay? They're in a secret competition, but they're doing this to themselves. You might be fluid, but you need to, like, be able to control yourself. Like, a lot of fluid people are usually known as, like, the peacekeepers, the people who are balanced in a situation, but these are shadow people, okay? These are people, there's an opposition in the fluid community where, there is a lack of beauty, or these are the people who struggle with their body image and beauty, so they don't feel comfortable to have these hetero relationships. They don't feel like those relationships ever really accepted them. They didn't get the same results. They didn't get offered a hetero relationship or something like that. And they just see that your relationship that you got like this heteronormative like relationship, but it's fluid and refreshing and mysterious, and it's just really heartbreaking to them, okay? because they were in a secret competition, but they would never align with the work, is what I'm hearing, okay? So I think that that's what's really bad, because, how the relationship is shifting is that the DM actually started guiding, protecting, and being responsible with your spiritual purpose. And they were obsessed with your body or your big butt, but it was a fight for dominance and control, especially in a fluid group or something like that, where it may have not been a big deal about big booties or beauty, right? We appreciate beauty, right? And that's what we've learned through, with Goblin Intelligence, is that, like, we appreciate beauty. We shall never speak about the more Goblin faction of fluid people who are opposed to beauty because they don't have it, okay? And that's a real group of people, friend, okay? So, I think that, they're in the next 72 hours, they catch a woe about your divine masculine, who started guiding and supporting and following and aligning themselves with the spiritual purpose. I think that this is something that you really haven't, really gone within about. I don't think that you have really, I don't think you really talk to these people, or I don't think that you really, I don't really think that this has been a one-sided conflict and competition, and you're seen as being more favorable in the situation. Having a big butt as a fluid person, they just keep looking at Venus, right? They look at the art that you create around your masculine, and look at your beauty, they look at your charm, they look at how you express about your romantic affair. And it is just giving them a woe on this journey of self-discovery. They kind of keep having these like realizations in this secret competition, that the secret competition is ending because they were not, they did not create art about your divine masculine, the way that you have. They just couldn't, because it wasn't real to begin with. Like, you might be fluid, but you can't force a dynamic, right? And they keep trying to like buy a pity or show an emotional insecurity about your big butt and your body type and them being fluid. Like, it's like something where it is a big, your natural feminine, body being fluid is like, you are a dream, with this big booty and stuff like that. You are a dream fluid partner, okay? So your divine masculine, it was, the body was extra. It was about your spiritual purpose, right? And so these people who, I think that fluid people who get jealous are actually not so fluid. It's like you can, if these are women, it's like, we're saying, like, I really just feel like the masculinity is a coping mechanism for a lack of beauty. It's not really that you are super masculine. I think that that's the facade that they put up to, you know what I'm saying? The facade that they put up to hide the fact that they don't really, get desired like that, okay? So, this relationship was deep and tenacious. So this person desiring you was like, it transcended some type of physical limitation. It transcended some kind, some of you guys even stopped communicating with this person altogether. Maybe you guys have a lot of moments in privacy, or something was like, you guys started being very secretive with one another as well, because there's been these people to be responsible, friend, to be responsible, because your vision has expanded, and this person who has been competing, trying to act fluid or something like that, but it's really a challenge about your body type. I think that because your vision expanded, this is why it's ending. They can no longer align themselves with your work because you have a new vision that they can't follow, okay? So, what's shifting within the next 72 hours? Yeah, the Chariot. Your divine masculine, I think your divine... Your divine masculine is standing up to... they're standing up to a challenge about your beauty. They're very brave and responsible in this matter. It's taking a lot of strength. And I don't want you to think that this is easy, because especially in a fluid community, having your beauty on display as fluidity, as like, and it representing so much nurturing, sensitive, and care. Like, it is a big disillusionment, or it's a big stark difference between, other fluid relationships that have not been nurturing, sensitive, and caring. And I'm also getting that some of you guys have come from, if you both have like fluid sexuality or something like that, you both could be coming from relationships where your fluid partners try to compete with you. Okay, I'm also getting that storyline heavy as well. And so this Four of Swords is not, it's not, with the Four of Swords reverse, what's shifting within the next 72 hours is a deep contemplation about this secret competition that's ending. I think that now that it's ending, and after you stood up to the situation with the Chariot, I think that you force some realizations here. With the ship energy and the psychological illness, somebody, these people, they keep, some of them are on drugs, and that's the woe, but they have been in a mental prison where they constantly reevaluate your butt, or they constantly reevaluate, their actions that have been marked, okay, by you. And it's hard when they get triggered, or when they withdraw emotionally, because it means that, like, sometimes it means that it could feel like they're not supporting your growth, or it could feel like you're without them in some type of way. But a lot of you guys, both of you, may have leadership positions, and I will just tell you right now, your beauty having a leadership position in a fluid community is a big problem, because a lot of the times the reason why they're fluid is because they're not pretty. Okay, so you are like a dream partner, but you are also like a lot of conflict around you, right? A lot of people coming around to compete with for your fluid relationships, for support. Okay, but they were not the ones, especially with this expanded vision. The masculine expanded the vision for you. So it was like, the reason why this is an illness is because the reason why this has been an illness, or has been delusional, is because these people, they keep, they're obsessed with your fluid relationship and butt, and they have been in this secret competition. Some of them, they don't know whether or not they want to be friends, or if they want to be in a competition, right? All they know is that you have this divine masculine that have been supporting your growth. And I think that the delusional illness part is that the masculine made it clear who they were supporting. I think that that's why it's so burdensome and tough, is because the masculine makes it very clear, okay, who they choose to support, how they encourage you, how they, an action that they take that's inspired, that's aligned with their spiritual purpose, not just some projection onto your body type, and I think that they were not the Empress, friend, okay? It doesn't matter, how you look, if you're just not, receptive, calm, nurturing, right? The High Priestess, some of them are just dealing with something subconscious, actually. And it's like a dangerous situation, okay? This High Priestess in the reverse is a mental illness. They're ill about their fluidity, they're ill about their sexuality problems, their body image issues. These are real mental illnesses. These are real behavioral health issues. And these people, they deal with something subconscious that they need to stand up to, okay? I think that some of you guys, this divine masculine, they decided not to move forward with someone else, okay, with the Two of Wands reverse. And I think that you guys, it's giving people a woe, okay, because it was already a woe to begin with, because they were never, they were never a spiritual purpose. They had already, it's like from the get-go, friends, these masculines had already aligned themselves with your spiritual purpose. They had already supported your growth. They had already expanded your vision for you, okay? And this high priestess in the reverse represents an illness where they failed to acknowledge that within their reality. They failed to encompass that in their reality, and decided to compete when they didn't have, where it wasn't really their masculine's influence. And this is why it's been so burdensome, okay? It's because they have not been able to take no for an answer, or, you know, I think that you're breaking them free from a delusional rapport, because the vision has expanded to which they can't compare, or to which they can't, replicate. So, some of them, these divine masculines, they come out openly and talk about your body, okay? Some of you, they did start, they make it clear that they're not moving forward with the secret competition. They make it clear that they prefer your body. They make it clear that, the reason why this is a woe is that they make it clear who they chose, friend. Okay? And this has been actually this has actually been like a reoccurring problem on the channel, is that, like, there are a group of fluid people, or a group of people in secret competition for romantic partners, and the romantic partner be making it clear, okay? But I think that's something that they do as, like, that's forceful, is where their mental illness narrative projections actually impact everyone, because we become unwilling participants in their dynamic, where they are making up support. They're making up a vision. They take inspired actions about your masculine when it is not aligned with when they don't have a spiritual purpose, or they are not able to expand the vision, okay? Something where they try to express emotion, and your DM is just like trying to be encouraging and uplifting. They're not trying to court them. They're not trying to pursue a romantic relationship with them. This is just something that they refuse to admit because of a projection defense mechanism that causes them to, like, reevaluate as an opposition. And so this has been the challenge they have been at. Like, these are fluid people who don't want to admit the fact that they're envious of your body, or envious of your beauty, or, you being pretty in pink is very different than them, being these, like, more, less standards of beauty, okay? And the people, like, it becomes awkward sometimes, especially if you're in public places, in public forums, and you're like this commercial standard of beauty or something like that. It can even be a rare beauty, but it's like you're like this commercialized standard of beauty where they expanded their vision and aligned their spiritual purpose with, and take actions that work, around their spiritual purpose. And then there's these people who, these fluid people who are, who are not really, some of them are openly dissed, you know what I'm saying? They're openly, people openly say that your butt is better. They openly say that you're prettier. They openly say that they prefer you, you know what I'm saying? But some of them, we must never admit this. Now that we have integrated goblin intelligence, we must never admit this. With this high priestess in the reverse, they also don't want to admit it either, right? We're not going to admit the real reason why we're not moving forward with them, right? It's because we don't find them to be beautiful, or we don't like their butt. This Cancer, yeah, I didn't like their butt. So something where it was like, they don't want to admit the fact to themselves. Like, they try to make it, some of them, they could just be like trying to compare beauty or something like that, but for others it was really because they didn't. I think that you were found to be the most beautiful, but I think also it was an issue, with them not wanting to admit that they were not the ones that were sharing the purpose, right? And they put themselves in a competition when they just were not, the vision was not expanded around them, and they don't want to admit to themselves that you were that the vision was expanded around you because you represent, like, the commercialized beauty, or the pretty in pink, or something like that, or you represent, like, I think that you just represented the standard, and they just keep having. I think that what's shifting is that they have to, like, face the realities that they're not moving forward. with your divine masculine, y'all. Okay, they're like, oh, I might be fluid, and I might, I might be, I might have competing desires, or some of you, this was literally just a part of their, they might have been entangled before, but it was literally just a part of their self-discovery process, especially fluid people on the spectrum, still learning about their preferences, their gender expression, and gender identities. And these people could not accept the fact that you were the spiritual purpose and expanded vision and made it about your body. And so people actually started to reinforce your beauty even more. It was like the more they kept, like, these fluid people kept lying to themselves about their body image, the more people started to, like, enforce it. And so, what's shifting is that, they keep getting triggered about your divine masculine taking and inspired actions towards you, and this is creating like an emotional chaos. But we're going to keep it contained. We're not actually going to ever speak about this in a public way. It's only Renaissance coded. Okay, these fluid gremlins and goblins that were in a secret competition but did not get chose with the Two of Wands. Okay, we didn't like their butt. So something like that. And it's like a psychological illness that they kept, where they kept justifying with the high priestess in the reverse. It's like a subconscious ping that keeps letting them know, like, you're not the spiritual purpose, you're not the expanded vision, this is not your divine masculine. They have not been communicative and responsive, they have not been communicative with you, or they've been showing a lot of responsibility. And so, like, watching your divine masculine be responsible is the highest honor. Okay, and don't worry about them being fluid. They, oh, it's going to be a big problem with you having this feminine big booty and stuff like that. They already decided that you were their spiritual purpose. It wasn't because they're fluid. It wasn't about the big butt. They made it about the big butt. They made it a problem. Okay, and it was because they didn't want to admit this to themselves, and they just keep having these reevaluations about a fluid concern, but they're not actually moving forward with them. Okay, they're just burdened by how many people will hate you because of this big butt. LOL. The antelope spirit, life is speeding up. Yeah, your divine masculine is speeding up. After what's shifting within the next 72 hours is that the secret competition with the fluid people who appreciate your beauty is coming to an end. And your divine masculine is speeding up. Okay, they're taking more inspired actions, they're being more responsible, they're expanding the vision even more, and they're uplifting you even more. They're expressing even more emotions. Watching you, staying disciplined and driven, while we work through this projection between you, your divine masculine, and these other fluid people who have a psychological illness about your beauty and body type. Okay. And then the vulture spirit, nothing is wasted. And then the dove spirit, be peace. I definitely think that, like, some of you guys, you might not, you guys, I definitely feel like you were just burdened. I think that this secret competition, you might have felt like it was a waste, right? Because you know that these people this was not their divine masculine or spiritual purpose, especially when they show up in a secret competition. Like, especially if you guys have been having a vision around something, a mutual dream around something. If they're showing, it was like, especially if it involved like LGBTQ rights or something like that, human and civil rights, these people, if they were showing up jealous or doing something negative, that means that they did not share that spiritual purpose. Even if they walk around as fluid people, they were not at peace, and that's not the spiritual purpose. And I think that a lot of the lesson that your divine masculine learned as well is that, like, they might consider other options, because we're fluid and we don't consider, we appreciate beauty. We don't make it our determining factor. But I think that what happens is that this person, they did find you to be very, very beautiful and irresistible, and they just they also had to clear this, like, projection narrative about your beauty as well, and learn to appreciate the beauty and learn to find emotional security within the beauty in the big butt, and actually accept the fact that this is like a part of this is like a dream come true, to have a fluid dream partner like you. Okay, that's what I'm saying about what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours with this person. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Hi group 2, welcome to your selection. So you chose the cherry treasure. Okay, you know, what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours with this person or just in general? Okay, so group 2, what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours? So you guys are very humble. Okay, y'all are very humble. I don't know, you're not seeing yourself clearly. Some of y'all, take your wig off. Okay, if you're a Sagittarius, take your wig off. Okay, because I think that some of y'all, it's, you know, a Libra too, take your wig off and show your hair, because that's actually a huge flex. All right, this, I don't know what's shifting for you, but this just came to my mind. Take y'all wig off and show people how beautiful your hair is. Okay, and let them know that you do not need a fake hairline. You do not need no extra adornments. Some of y'all face card do not decline. Okay, you may have had to get your teeth fixed, but some of this was a birth defect. There's the, you know, what's shifting within the next 72 hours is an aggressive situation. Okay, this is kind of piggyback off of group 2, off of group 1, but let's see group 2. You know, what's shifting, you know, for you in the next 72 hours? This is like an urgent 72-hour reading. What's shifting for you? Okay, what? Yeah, take that wig off, girl. You're rich. You know, they see you without your wig. They you know, your boss ass man who has a criminal, legal, or business authority. Yeah, they're watching you on the camera. Take your wig off. Yeah, you're very rich, friend. Okay, so, you know, what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours? Yeah, you're that bitch. Yeah, you're treasured like this, like cherry. You're treasured like cherry. Okay. So now what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours? Like, take that wig off. And y'all, when you take it, it's not like, I think that we're a face nation, friend. Okay, so take your wig off and don't have any insecurities about some plastic surgery that you got when you were a child. Okay, you are a very, very rich girl. Okay, period, point, motherfucking blank. Like, you're loved and adored for your talent, skills, and gifts, and your face, period. Right? So let them say what they want to say about your body, but your face is stunning. Okay, your hair, gorgeous, and keep just playing on your natural beauty as much as you possibly can. Okay, and there's like, I think that what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours is like something very encouraging, you know, where you are very encouraged to do something. Okay, you're a lover, you're a friend, you're a daughter, you're a co-worker. You are a valued girl in your network, in your social groups, and in an interpersonal relationship. And what's shifting is that you're like, your good gent, you know, your good gent treasures you. That's what I'm hearing, a good gent. And this could definitely piggyback off of group 1. Like, you know, your gent was good. You know, they never moved forward with a secret competition. Okay, so I think that that's something that and I think that you never move forward with their competition either, right? But this has been sorrowful a little bit. Okay, yeah, look at that tree. Look at that garden that you know, that beautiful tree that you planted, that beautiful garden that you created with your masculine. Okay, what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours, friends? What's shifting for you in the next 72 hours? Interesting energy. And then, yeah, your spouse. Okay, but the good gent card wanted to come out, so that's a little bit better. What's shifting for you in the next 72 hours? The bear. And the German Kipper, I think this is the German Kipper. This bear symbolizes envy. Okay, it emphasizes somebody growing, you know, somebody becoming very upset about the way that this man is loving on you. Okay, okay? This man said, I'm at home. You know, I didn't move forward with no competition. I'm at home. Your man is at home watching you take your wig off and watching you love your hair, watching you be pretty in pink, watching you and like making you go to the kitchen and cook. Y'all, this man this man treasures you. Whoever this is, this person treasures you, and I'm hearing something where you guys may work together. The rich girl energy. Some of y'all are literally co-workers with this person, and they love you so much at work. Okay, an Aquarius, Taurus, Cancer, LOL. They see everything that you guys have built together, or projects that you've worked on at work. Okay, and the communication is the reason why they love you, friend, is because of the communication, y'all. Okay, they absolutely adore you because this is the communication. I'm hearing that you have an official gas protocol with these people. Like, you gas them so much, and you make them feel like a man, like a great man. You make them feel like you make them feel better about some of the losses that they taken in their life. Like, you don't, these men, they came around you and they have poor self-images, and the way that you gassed them up so hard, y'all. Some of you gassed them up when you were at work. Something like that. Y'all gassed them up when you were at work, and they fell in love with you, during these official gas-like proceedings, and you were like, look, this was just to boost your self-esteem and your health. And then you end up becoming like this very rich girl, or this very important person in their workflow, this person that they love. Okay, some of you guys, this may have started working with them, or it may have started with some type of giving them some type of communication that encouraged them so much, right? So they were really appreciative of that. Yeah, the Uranus energy. Like I said, this feels like you guys were at work, and Uranus always reminds me of like the way that you stood out, in the cohort. You don't have to worry. Your good gent came right on home, because you just, for one, you just stand out. You know what I'm saying? Nobody compares to you at work. Nobody has like, you have this like beautiful foundation with them as well, and you stood out from a lot of people. I'm hearing something where it was compared to something very mundane, or there was something very ordinary or something off kilter, that where the communication with other options and pathways and timelines just did not make sense, or it didn't have a continuity. And so there was just like, there was this beautiful culmination or illumination with this man, okay, of your tree that you guys built together, this man on your family tree or something like that. Or just like, if this is like a group setting, a group chat, a work environment, you just stood out and shined so brightly at work, or you just became this lover that is like, you're known as like a treasure, a national treasure even. Some of you, especially if you're working in the government, you are regarded and highly respected as a treasure, okay? And so this man that fell in love with you, it started off as like encouraging them at work, and it just turned into a whole, you turned into a whole lover, okay? With some type of creative, you were like a creative inspiration for them, okay? Maybe they built new models around you, built new, masterpieces around you, okay? Some of you guys are pole dancers, and they really fell in love with you as a pole dancer, okay? They said you might have had this encouraging communication, but your movement was like the way that you danced for them. It was really encouraging as well, okay? Something where you came in and you started dancing for them, okay? And it encouraged them a lot, okay? So, you have the Black Magic. That came out, that was like an energy in PAL in group 2. Yeah, LOL. That was like an energy in group 2. From the last reading, from yesterday's reading, who's secretly watching you, okay? Someone misusing the spiritual practice. Some people obsessed with divination or something like that, okay? Someone's name is Ivy. This person, LOL, y'all, was shifting in the next 72 hours. this person was shape-shifting, like this black magic energy. This is somebody that was like shape-shifting on social media, okay? Or they've been, you know, they've been a parody account. They've been kind of like a spin-off account or something like that, a parody, a satire, okay? And you know, I think that what's shifting in the next 72 hours is like there's a witness here or something like that. This person knows that this man loves you, okay? LOL. And I don't know why this is was shifting with this person, why they're important. This person could be Aries, or their name could start with the letter I. I'm hearing the name, like someone's name, someone goes by Isabel or Izzy. Or, you know, this person, they this is funny. This person, this person watched you. That was like, I don't know, this feels like a, just like these people in this group were shape-shifting. I think that they were just projecting whatever image that served them in this cohort of people, and so they were not actually treasured. And the value that you added in the situation was shifting for you, is that these people, is that you kind of shift away from this group think, or this group of people that were just shape-shifting, you know, for an image online, or they were just shape-shifting to, you know, and acting to be generous, pleasing, and or offering affection. It was like there was a situation where like I don't know, it's so weird. It's like this what's shifting is that they're gonna stop looking at this man and stop telling these stories about them as a negative person or doing something harmful, and they are shifting into a more positive perspective. Some of them will say that this man is just shape-shifting, or that they're just projecting an image, but with the rich girl coming out here in the tree, this man definitely loves you, and you're definitely, some of you guys are the mother of their child, of their son. You may have been like a stepmother, or maybe you adopted their child. Some of them have literally just watched you at work stand out from a group of people that were calling them a scam, calling them, you know, slandering them, reposting things that just project the image or something like that. And you did something to stand out, okay? And it reflected that you were this person's lover, okay? So it's something that you did to your comment stood out. The image that you project, it wasn't, I'm not gonna say it was a projection, but the image that they saw was of a daughter, a friend, a lover, and it was very different than these people who just discussed the matter in a vague way, or it just reflected that they were not having a pleasurable relationship with them. And they are seeing like something was shifting in the next 72 hours in this relationship, is that this man is actually making you immovable in their life, okay? Because they found you to be pleasing and soothing, and these other people who were projecting their image, they did not stand out, and so they were not part of the physical structure, or they were not considered the immovable position. They were just somebody who were projecting your relationship with this man, okay? Something like that. They were just projecting your relationship with this man. The way that you danced for them and encouraged them, it highlighted that you were a part of this person's physical structure. You were in a movable position within their life, and it actually helped them release stories about them that were slanderous, I think. Does that make sense? I feel like there's a lot of moving parts, but it kind of feels like there's a big change here, okay? There's a big change to this person's social image. It has something that you've done, have made dancing for them, and, you know, enacting the official gas protocols have made them very confident, okay? Have made, maybe not very confident, but you were like such a reward to them, and they see you as an emotional reward as well. They treasure you, okay? They're realizing that something that you did to stand out from a cohort got you treasured by this man, okay? And that kind of collapsed I don't know, they kind of collapsed the projection narratives that they were persisting around this man, and saying that they were a scam, or saying that they were negative in some type of way. When they saw them loving you or putting you in a movable position, they knew that they were all about pleasure and that they weren't trying to be negative. Okay. LOL. What's shifting for you within the next 72 hours? Big changes, right? This relationship with this man, right? And where everyone else in the cohort, they kind of just like have a paternal attachment issue with this man. You're like this man's lover, friend, confidant, an immovable position, and that actually made someone else lose power. Okay, the other, like a lot of people in this cohort, it was like something happened. There was a shift that helped you. That helped, like it was like an annual purge, where you guys purged all of the black magic shapeshifters when you started dancing for them or doing something to encourage them. It brought pleasure in their life and helped them remove the people who were not pleasurable. With the Emperor in the reverse, the Emperor in the reverse is a weird energy sometimes to come up, because they could be people who, these are people who really want to be considered pleasing, sensual, and maybe even like expressing, like I don't know if expressing material goods is real, but like it's something where they may have been with this Uranus energy. It feels like a cohort of people that where there's a lot of material goods, okay, or there's a lot of commentary, expressions, concerns about a rewarded house with a man. This man has a very rewarded house. Maybe they're in the press and media a lot, having some kind of public status. And there was something that you did in this cohort that stood out, that brought these people, that put them into contemplation, brought them in an inner awareness, but ultimately made them a paternal attachment issue, because they were in this cohort, they were too busy projecting whatever image served them. If it was trending that they were a scam, then that's what they trended. If it was, something where even you came in and maybe you started dancing for them or something like that, or you started to encourage them, and so it followed that other people started dancing for them and tried to encourage them, but it lacked a continuity, or you were the one that stood out, okay, and you were the one that they made in a movable position, and you were the one that they called a beauty, right? And so these other people in the cohort that maybe tried to dance for them or tried to encourage them, or maybe they were, on the opposite end, just concerned about maybe it wasn't about sensual touch or competing for desire, or it was more about them collapsing a narrative where it was there were a lot of people concerned with their rewarded house, and contemplating something that they didn't really have an inner awareness around, and seeing you sensual and encouraging helped them gain an inner awareness that they were pleasurable and not trying to do something scammy, okay, LOL. But this also made, these people, some of them, they might criticize them online, and might, because they have a rewarded house, they'll make commentary about their rewards and whether they're authentic or not. But a lot of these are ways in which they really desire to be a part of their physical structures. They really desire to have a recognition. This person who's making commentary, they want to grow their account, making a commentary, make it like as a parody or a satire or something like that. But something that they were doing, maybe it stood out to you. Their satire and parody may have stood out to you, or maybe you stood out to them and they started to make comments about it, or it might have been an exchange. But I think that you stood out as a sensual touch for sure, LOL. And when you started being sensual with them, that they made you immovable in their life. But I think that these other people in the cohort, they were just making commentary and projecting an image about their rewarded house as a fight for dominance. With the Emperor in the reverse, it can sometimes mean a fight for dominance, but it can also just mean that these people did not attach to this man or this rewarded house in a healthy way. It was a projection narrative with the black magic, okay? And so yeah, this person, they're defensive because they know that you have an immovable position with this man, and they're sensual with you, okay, because of what you did to stand out, okay. And you became a daughter, a lover, a friend, a co-worker, a valued and immovable position within this person's life. Okay, you told this person stop making commentaries about their fatherhood, stop making commentaries about our house. Okay, you're out here spewing all this propaganda or something like that. But I think that, that could also be a disguise for people who are envious of the physical pleasures, who are envious of the rewarded house. If there's a lot of people online projecting, narratives about this man's rewarded house or about your rewarded house, but it's really just a paternal attachment issue. They really just don't get it because they were not the sensual touch. They wish that they were the sensual touch, but they were just rendered as commentary or a satire or a parody, where you were given a real physical structure with them. Okay, so you brought this person an inner awareness about a projection narrative, and it made them mad. They got defensive. Okay, with the I don't know why this is so important within the next 72 hours, right? What's shifting between you and in this person within the next 72 hours is that they're very focused on you. Okay, they're very focused on their next goal with you, and something where you're helping them release these I don't know, the damage. I feels like this commentary is very harmful. It's like propaganda, slander about public figures or celebrities or something like that. And they were just mad that they didn't have a secure attachment with this person. They just had a paternal attachment issue, and that they didn't really understand their rewarded house. They didn't really understand their physical pleasures or their physical structures or their material goods, or they were just not the person that was considered pleasing and soothing with the emperor in the reverse. It's more of a forced interaction, forced touching, forced relating, especially when they, it was forced that if they came in after you and started to dance for them too, or started to make comments about them too. They were literally just projecting your image, and your person was like, I know who I'm focused on. I'm aware of who my lover is, and it wasn't just because you came around first, right? It was because there was a continuity that followed, and you truly stood out from the cohort. It was not just it literally was not just a I don't know what I was going to say, but it was you stood out, and you were a secure attachment where everyone else was a paternal attachment. They didn't understand this person. They were just spewing the same propaganda, reposting and retweeting the same propaganda. And you did something to bring them an inner awareness around it, and that let them know that you were this person's feminine, generous feminine energy. You were their art, their beauty, their food, their children, the mother of their children. You were their house, their security, their wealth and possessions. You were the one that reflected a true understanding of their rewarded house. And it stands out. It sets apart. And what's shifting between you guys in the next 72 hours is that they get very focused on their next goals with you. Okay, and I also feel like some of them, I think that their next goal within the next 72 hours, they're going to bring you another physical structure, or they're going to bring you something else that helps more material goods or something like that, physical pleasures that help you learn that you are a movable position after standing apart and within this cohort, debunking myths that were black magic narrative projections, encouraging them with the official gas protocols, and dancing for them that made them feel comfortable in their body and made them feel safe, right? And so I think within the next 72 hours, you guys focus on these people in the environment that may have been fighting for dominance and control, or you will shift your relationship and your rewarded house together now will shift the perspective of many people who had a paternal attachment issue to this man, because they didn't understand their rewarded house. They didn't understand this man, and you did, right? Something like that. And so it followed, okay? There was continuity within your relationship, and that's why it became set apart from the cohort with this Uranus energy. You were eccentric, sensual, and you know, and they couldn't resist you, okay? You guys got erotic or something about something grounded. Yeah, you guys, you know, in a movable position that you have grounded, and that made someone else lose power, lose authority. You even could have broken up this person's home, or these other influencers making commentary, projecting that, like, you know, with their projection narratives, just did not stand out, okay? And I think your role in this whole matter, sorry if I'm kind of jumbled, but this is a complicated story, but it feels like there was, you in an eccentric way, you drew everybody into, you gave this cohort of people a greater awareness, okay? And so they started fighting for dominance and control because they were the one. They were not the eccentric rich person, you know, the eccentric rich girl, lol, that came around with the gas protocols, the sensual touching, and something that just stood out, okay? You're very treasured here, okay? And so they felt like you I don't know, you dismantled someone else's authority position. Like, they feel like you took someone else's authority, or you made these other commentators or other participants look small, okay? I think that's something where they kept saying that this person was abusing their power, or that they were being negative. Some of them, they do have some abusive tendencies. I'm not going to say that's all clear, but I will say that they definitely love you, and you're definitely in a movable position within their life. This feels more like other people around that, you know, that their role of importance kind of shrank, okay? Or the people that they rewarded in the past were not so rewarded after you did something eccentric to stand out, okay? LOL. This person, you know, they see that they see that you were very dependable, okay? They depend on you so much, actually, okay? So, yeah, I think that you brought, you know, what's shifting within the next 72 hours is that this person that was projecting a narrative about this man's rewarded house met you. They're meeting you, okay? And they're emphasizing your immovable position, and they're meeting you, and they're showing, you know, that, you know, this rich girl, or you, group 2, you know, they're showing you off, okay? They're showing what they created with you, and this is bringing them an inner awareness around something where they kept projecting a narrative that was false, okay? It represented them trying to compete for dominance within, you know, for this man's house. You know, people who make, you know, slanderous posts or propaganda or spew these narratives, you know, it's not really adding values. If they're focused a lot on the drama of the rewarded house, they truly don't understand the rewards and the physical rewards of the house. They keep trying to diminish or devalue or corrupt the rewarded house of this man, okay? And they're like, in the press and in the media, they keep trying to devalue this man as abusive authority. I'm not going to say that's totally wrong or right. We don't know. But I will say these people have a poor attachment to this man because they don't really understand this person's economic structures. They don't understand their business. They don't understand their personality. They just don't understand, you know what I'm saying? So they were previously rewarded, but when you came around, you stood out, and you actually gave them an increased awareness that made you the immovable position, that made you number one, that made you the person that they really depend on. And so the other people around, they just, you know, I don't know, something happened where it just feels like you shifted their perspectives about something when they saw you representing this man's house, okay? So let's wrap group 2. You know what, that's what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours is that these people who kept spewing a propaganda, they were disillusioned, as or didn't really have, they were just trying to fight this man for power, or trying to make this man's, or trying to diminish this man's power, because they were truly, they were truly they're truly obsessed with their rewarded house and their material goods, right? And if it's out in the press, that's for the public to have, to choose whether they support or not. But I will say that these people truly have not, they don't have a rewarded house, and they wish that they could have this man. So they just get rendered into like these positions where they have to, like they're in a skeptical commentary about them constantly, or they were doing this, and when you came around, you brought them an inner awareness and let them know that they had a paternal attachment issue. Okay, LOL. Okay. So they were like, oh, that's your rich girl. Okay, that's your house. Oh, that's what you really reflect. That's who you really are, right? They just weren't getting it, and so you stood out because you got it. Okay, or you stood out because they made it clear that they were depending on you. Okay, that you were the continuity in this matter, not just somebody projecting your relationship. Okay, elephant spirit, learn from the past. Yes, similar situation is happening where, people who were rewarded previously, they lose their power when you come into their life. That happens a lot when you're the rich girl, right? There are obstacles when when there's a transition of power, or when this person started rewarding you and made you immovable in their life. You're tied together forever now, LOL. And you guys have obstacles to overcome together, and within the next 72 hours, what's shifting for you is another, they're focusing on another obstacle, in the environment where somebody lost power within their life, somebody is competing for power and dominance, or you have to face scrutiny about your relationship in the public now. Okay, some of you, it's starting to become clear. That's kind of what I was getting at the beginning of the reading. And this is where you can kind of learn from the past with this elephant spirit, is that there is from the emperors in the reverse, the people who want to fight for dominance. Maybe they scrutinize your man, or they just wish, if they're scrutinizing, sometimes that's their hidden desire. They really wish they could have this man. Some of they're just people where you came around first, or you came around as the person they depended on, and these other people just got attached onto, your home energy and how you guys reflect your rewarded house, and started to try to project that image too. But they were not the one dependent on, and they were not the ones having a sensual touch with them. Okay, and it becomes clear that they're like talking to themselves, or like they're dancing by themselves, or something like that. Yeah, I think that this man is kind of stubborn. Some of them, but I think that you guys really do have there's an obstacle that you guys will be facing together. I think that this is someone that's a part of your life forever now. I hate to say like this is a destined, immovable thing, but some of you guys, there is a physical structure between the two of you that is not going anywhere anymore. That's not going anywhere. So if they created a physical structure with you, you're bounded together. You're binded together. And so I think that you guys there's a paternal attachment issue with somebody in their life that's losing power, or people that they rewarded previously. You guys will be dealing with this challenge together for the next 9 years, is what I'm hearing. Okay, where you can draw on your wisdom from the past, especially because this relationship might face scrutiny in the press, and when they saw you defending the house or something like that, they were like, oh, we didn't know that was even a possibility. Okay, starfish spirit, open to the infinite possibilities. I think that this relationship was an infinite possibility. I think that you definitely have an obstacle in your relationship, but this person, they already, these material goods means that you're immovable. And that makes your connection to them infinite, right? Where these other people who didn't stand out for the cohort, they were just commenting on something that's a fleeting moment or some propaganda, press, release, slander that was going around. That's not an infinite collaboration. They wish that they can collaborate with this man. Okay, that's why they make comments about them, Ivy. LOL. So they see that you have infinite cycles with this person because of an immovable or material good that they gave you. Okay, and so I think that your next obstacles are where you face people who struggle for dominance, or you face the scrutiny around a relationship. I think that's what's shifting for you guys in the next 72 hours. But looks really, really good. You guys are focusing on, you know, who is fighting for dominance and control and bringing them an inner awareness. Okay, that's what I'm seeing, group 2. Let me know how that resonates, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your selection. So you chose this Kiss perfume. Let's get into it. What is this topic again? What is shifting for you within the next 72 hours? Something to deal with home. Something around your home is shifting within the next 72 hours. Some of you guys, this is interesting. If you guys caught the last live stream, okay, we talked about this a lot, that like there could be a big decision that you need to make, okay, and I think that you're making progress and shifting into that decision that you're making. Some of you have to decide a home, and some of you could be contemplating a home life that you've had previously, where things felt really, really good, but or maybe even in your current situation things feel very good. You guys could still be at this like crossroads where you need to make a decision about like what do you want for yourself. So some of you guys, I think what's shifting for you is like you get like an expression, you find a communication, you find information, you find an intelligence that helps you anchor to the belief and move in a particular direction. I think that you guys might have a big decision that you need to make. You guys are stars for sure. I think that you guys shine bright. Some of you guys are social media content creators, and you have very bright aesthetics, very clean aesthetics, and that works very well for the algorithms. So you guys are doing very well, and you have like things that stand out and make you noticeable and valuable. And I think that some of your connections are becoming like home to you, okay? And this is a really, really great outcome, okay? This lunar eclipse energy. So we have lunar eclipse energy. Where's the card? Okay. So, the lunar eclipse energy. So, the solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, that does not match. No, this is solar eclipse, oops. Okay, yeah, solar eclipse. A solar eclipse occurs when a new moon is directly between the sun and the earth and blocks out the sun's rays. The solar eclipse carries the same potential for opportunity as the regular new moon, but it does come along with a warning that you will reap 3 times what you sow. So go forward with clear purpose. So yeah, this was definitely a warning. Okay, a warning for some matters at home. Okay. some of you, if you are in a family violence at home, okay, please look out for support. I know that those might not be the most appealing options, but just try to, there's a new opportunity, it feels like, that you are receiving within the next 72 hours that is an opportunity for home life, is what I'm hearing. And it's refreshing and it's mysterious, and this person might be a Gemini, or a Scorpio, Cancer, Taurus energy, Pisces. But this could feel like a new opportunity for home, a better home, a different home that gives you more independence and sovereignty. So that's what you're shifting into. I think around this 72, these next 72 hours, okay? LOL. So I think that you decide to do a lot of things yourself, and I think that you're a very independent person. But I think that some of your healing could possibly be like healing a hyper independence, and this is where you maintain and sustain yourself, and it doesn't become a reliance or a negative family violence. And so some of you, there's a big decision that you're making to take a new opportunity for a more independent, sovereign life, okay? Something that's free from a family violence or something that was toxic, okay? I think your past situation, it was like a lovers to enemies thing type of thing, or enemies to lovers type of thing, something with a Scorpio, okay? Where you were previously intimate with them, and then they grew into like an enemy, or they started to have like your arguments over time. You know, you could have been married to this person. Your arguments over time could have just like had not been unconditionally loving, and had not been met with like clear communication, had not been met with true forgiveness. Like there was truly not, past arguments were never fully resolved and settled, and these partners start to hold grudges. And I think that they do something that starts to pull roots from your foundation, or they do something harmful to you, and they try to like ruin. I think that this is like a partner that tries to like ruin something for you, or they do something violent towards you, maybe verbally or physically attack you, because the grudges and the miscommunications and the misunderstandings just grew resentment over time. And it was like forced, I think, and I think that you just are moving into like this era where you're like very sovereign, very independent, very detached, but still very pure and devoted. I think that you find that boundary and that healthy line, and I think that you move into more healthy relationships. I know that the collective have been manifesting healthy relationships, and these are definitely healthier relationships than these past karmic, families that you've had in the past or something like that, okay? So, I think it's always like a situation where you try to share a house. LOL, yeah, this new opportunity, you're definitely rich, friend, okay? We don't need to be debating about that one, friend. We do not need to be debating. We do not need to be debating. And this old partner or home that you previously left, they see that that you get your wish fulfillment, and that you don't hold on to that violent situation that you had at home before. A lot of this has been self-discovery. A lot of this has been just like naivete, obliviousness, and you were met with a lot of like partners' anger and violence a lot. Like your partners grew enraged, by your miscommunications, because a lot of it makes them feel dumb. Because I think that you're always like the tempered, measured, and you might have mistakes where you like react to something, but it's like immature reactions, and that's like naivete. So I think that you have been on this journey with a partner here, or maybe like this could even be a new opportunity where this is like this partner Sorry, you guys, I got a new setup, so my camera has been, I don't know how it's been. Okay, yeah. So they see that you're like rich now, okay? They see that you're highly valued and that, someone loves you, okay? LOL. Um, but I think that you could still be healing from rejection issues from your past relationships where they turned into literally a family violence. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of you guys if you've been at court with some of these people for family violence, I think that a lot of these things, are getting resolved. The charges are getting dropped or they're getting put up. You're getting what you want in a situation. Like, I think that, these past situations, they could have really like hardened your heart in life, but I think that you could, because it happened, you were just a child or something like that. It could have happened when you were just a child or they had children. And these people were not good parents or something like that. So we did not like it. So some of you guys are, that was just a journey that you took, right? You discovered something major about yourself in your foundational garden era. And you are getting exactly what you want now, okay? And this has been like an emotional roller coaster because you've been a child, friend, and you've been just learning so many different lessons of naivete and miscommunications and misunderstandings and getting more self-aware and learning a lot of things about how people observe you and how people can misunderstand you. Like, you could already be on the psychic advantage around that. And then you are very intuitive as well. I think that you're very fair and you take a lot of responsibility for like misunderstandings for sure. And I think that this is the home life that you prefer for sure. A new opportunity, right? That's actually really cute, friend. Like, dang. So, y'all definitely some divas out there. Like, damn, okay, Honeywell. So, y'all, there's something about some very wild Lilith energy. Like, this is your friends or something like that, your friends from the past or these family members from the past. This doesn't even have to be just romantic. Like, these people, like these family violences have been friends, girlfriends. They come around as sisters, right? Like, people who are two-faced or just like envious or just like there's a power struggle in the relationship. And if these are romantic partners, they are particularly like, I don't know, I don't want to say deadening, but it's devastating because like it ruins the fantasy of happily ever after, you know what I mean? So they have been journeys of self-discovery nonetheless, but they have been like just romantic affairs, your past rendezvous, you know what I'm saying? So LOL. So, now you're very mature or you're working or you're like a friend, a sister, someone's romantic partner, having intimacy and sensual moments with someone, LOL. And they're like, you guys are a team together, LOL. And you're coming out of a lot of these situations unscathed, okay? You will not be held liable for any damages, and you fully recover, okay, from these family violences or these people that grow up, like, they start attacking and getting defensive, and you, like, over here, like, we're supposed to be a deep and tenacious, pure devotion, and they start fighting about something that they're getting defensive about. Like, they really feel, a lot of these family violences, it's like where you make people feel dumb. Okay, a lot of the times it's like you make them feel, because you're a rich girlfriend, look at you. Like, and if you don't even have to be a girl, this also comes up for men. Like, you're just a lover, you know what I'm saying? Like, people take a journey with you and they forgive you, they love you unconditionally, you know what I'm saying? So you just get, you're spoiled. Some of y'all are very spoiled. I'm not gonna say spoiled in a bad way, but just like, you guys are really, you're given a lot of gifts, okay? And you are provided for a lot, and you could be very beautiful, very handsome, attractive peoples, and you guys could be very wealthy, very smart. Like, I think that you're abundant in your spirit most of all, because you take this journey of discovery with yourself first and foremost, right? And I think that this new opportunity comes with a warning though, you know what I'm saying? Like, with this bouquet energy, these people definitely come around with flowers and gifts and lots of emotional satisfaction in the relationships. Okay, so I think that that's what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours, because you kind of just like have to stand up to, yeah, you have to kind of like stand up to something that, people who grew into like, like they turn into like a spiteful, vengeful liar, and they start coming around like, if they like hold resentment, it might not be so like, it's covert, it's not, they do it indirectly. Their motivations for coming around you are hidden. They're really, mad about something, or they're really in a conflict with you about something. And I think when they see you, I think past homes, or, past relationships, even friends, you are this rich girl that is so energetic, passionate, driven, and determined. It's not just about being a partner to someone else as well. It's that you are abundant within your spirit as well. And so these people, I think that this is a situation where like the partners start like supporting competition, okay, or they started getting aggressive and violent with this Mars energy. That kind of confirms, that a lot. And I think that you actually have to like assert yourself a lot and leave homes and break yourself away from people. Like, not, it's like when you don't bend to their will, like these relationships these past inappropriate surrogate homes, they represent a subtle power dynamic where their behavior becomes covert, and they come around with hidden motivations. Is covert is it the right word? Like, it's like these people are actually really disconnected from reality, to be truthfully honest, because like I said, like something that you connect them to reality, and they might get aggressive about that. Like they get offended because they were oblivious and you brought them awareness, right? And you're like sitting there with all this energy, passion, and drive and determination. They just feel inferior. And it's because they sit around and daydream too much. Some of them are on drugs, and they start acting like it's a competition, because like and that's the fine line of like that subtle power struggle with a romantic partner, intimate relationship, a family violence, a friend, long-term partners, perhaps, like with this rich girl energy. They definitely take a journey with you in the ship, but they are disconnected from. It's like a journey where you are in a conflict with them, and they're the ones that's disconnected from reality, right? Some of you guys could be disconnected from reality as well, like around something, like around a potential hidden motivation as the reason for people coming around you, right? Always question, people's motivations and intentions with something. Never be so blindingly trusting of someone. And I think that you take these like journeys with them where there's actually a conflict in the undercurrent, right? So, and it's because a lot of them, they actually daydream about you, and when you're not around, or when you come around, you bring them into reality about something that they were doing while you were away, and they feel dumb for not using their time wisely, because it's like something where you start passing on them, or you start withdrawing or something like that, because they're not energetic, driven, and determined. And so like it might be a situation, if you're leaving, like if what you're shifting into is like a situation that you might need to like stand up to, because it involves leaving another situation where there's too much power struggle, right? And there might even be a power struggle for like the resources, right? They want to continue to fight about everything and act like it's a competition when it's just a home, you know what I'm saying? So I think that they see your determination, your energy, your drive for your own life as like a competition, and you're just like, I'm just living my life. I don't understand how my vigor and spirit has anything to do with your opportunity, right? And I think that it's because they ultimately feel not good enough, and so they're coming around trying to learn. Their hidden motivation for coming around you sometimes, these past situations, it feels like a lot of past energy, but it's just like they were disconnected, and so they were coming around with an unconscious tethering to you, not actually in a like in a reciprocate, like in a healthy and clean reciprocal dynamic. And you're also disconnected from something as well. Some of these relationships are marked by a lot of passion. Some of y'all have you can have a lot of intimacy with these people, a lot of sensual moments with these people, a lot of sex, right? But when you guys face a challenge, it becomes a power struggle about how to solve the problem, right? And I think that your collaborations with these past dynamics, they grow aggressive and violent, but it's really just like, I think that you learn that a lot of this is like power struggle, and on this journey of self-discovery is disconnection from realities. So I think that they're watching. Yeah, this feels like a past situation. The Three of Swords, right? There's betrayal, deception, and someone is lacking closure, about a past conflict, okay, that you guys had in your relationship. They have deep feelings for you, okay, but I think that with these two kings showing up together, LOL, this is a past relationship. This was shifting for you, is that this King of Cups from the past, okay, they know that you're not over them all the way, or that they're not over you all the way, right? But this person, this King of Cups, had hidden motivations for coming around you, and it was rooted within their own insecurity, okay? This new person that you are moving into a cycle with, you guys are still fighting about this King of Cups, okay? This person, you were with this person when you, like, before you got a communication about something, you were not fully cleared, and so that was something that happened when you were a child or something, or a less developed version of you, okay? Old versions, that's the 4-0 version, that is the past version, okay? But I think that in this situation, it was this King of Pentacles who is your new home life, is what I'm hearing. This is a new opportunity, but you guys are still in this cycle of your past situations that you need to kind of, like, some of you guys, it's a logistical reason, or it's something that you need to be determined around as to why this cycle hasn't closed out yet. But you are definitely, in this other option, are definitely in your economic power together. Like, you're very rich with each other. You guys have financial securities together, and it's like you guys have a home together. But I think that this next cycle comes with a warning, with the world reversed, about this King of Cups in the environment, okay, that you have deep feelings with, you know what I'm saying? But I think that you guys, they were a situation that you needed to stand up to, and it was aggressive, right? LOL. But I think that it is their crown is in place here, okay? The King of Cups, it just came with a warning, right? Their crown is in place, but you just put a boundary up, okay? And this was the discovery. This is the fulfillment that you're having with this King of Pentacles, right? This King of Cups is having a painful ending right now, okay? Because of this King of Pentacles, okay, y'all? Something. Who are you? You're a rich girl to both of them, okay? You have a lot of money with both of them. And so this cycle, you need to stand up to a challenge with a situation, a painful ending with this other person, where their crown is in place, but they are having a very painful ending because you just put a boundary up about after learning a hidden motivation they had when they were disconnected from reality. This King of Pentacles, they're grounded. Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo. They're ambitious as well, but they feel like it's a competition with this King of Cups. So, you guys, this is the warning in this cycle. All right, let me know how this resonates. That's what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours. I also feel like there's a Gemini here as well, that, you know, these are third parties of yours, that where you are their lover, friend, and they all feel like it's a competition, right? But you have been discerning the ones who have been hidden motivations, ones who have been disconnected from reality, and after bringing them a lot of awareness and standing up to the situation, they're balanced now, but they kind of fucked up, okay? Or the situation kind of fucked up, lol. But you get what you want. I think it's okay. Everyone's okay, but you're getting more communication about the situation, and these masculines are competing for you, okay? I love you so much, you guys. Let me know how this resonated about what's shifting for you within the next 72 hours, and I will see you guys in the comments. Hi, group 4. Welcome to your selection. So you chose the Juicy Couture perfume. It's honestly, I don't use this perfume anymore, but I'm gonna finish it. But I'm not gonna collect the bottle because I got the bow so dirty. I will. But let's get into it. What is what is shifting for you and them within the next 72 hours? Or what's shifting for you in general within the next 72 hours, okay? How are you doing? Welcome back to Felicia Latrice Tarot. Welcome to Felicia Latrice Tarot if you're new here. Welcome. Okay, subscribe. Join the winning team. There's a lot of sexual energy. Yeah, there's a lot of sexual energy in the next 72 hours. And there's something about a weapon, okay? There's something about a weapon. With the Scorpio. What happened? Full moon. Okay, I think that's the docking of the moon base. Okay, that's the moon base energy. That's the moon base energy. Okay. Some of you guys, you're about to give a TED talk. You're about to take an interview or have a long discussion. Okay, and this is something that you're deeply emotional about. Okay, so this may involve like a war. You guys could be politicians, members of the government, officials. But this is what you're doing is very constructive, okay? It's very good. It helps people put together fragmented pieces of their identity and resolve their psyche in a big way. I think that this resolution or this peace treaty is where you resolve. Maybe it is a reconciliation. Maybe it is exchanging again, or the allowance of something again, or a accident that happened during the war is what I'm hearing. Okay, there was an accident or or some type related to the weapons. This could be about the war in Iran. Okay. And a lot of you, this means people will be, because this is war, people will try to attack your house. I don't know if you guys have been tapped into this recently, but there have been several news reportings of assassination attempts for President Donald Trump. Okay? This means that the situation has gotten brutally violent. Of course, there is skepticism about this being staged, but a lot of this is because of accidents that happened. I think that what you're about to talk about, the discussions, the speeches, the conversations that you're having is constructive, and it's to end some brutal violence. What that looks like could be reconciliation, it could be allowances, it could be exchanges again. But ultimately, I think that it is a good outcome, and we don't need to kind of nitpick about how the outcome, you know, with the terms of the outcome, just that if the brutal violence ends, where there stops being like, can we stop like trying to assassinate people and trying to take people and, you know, upend people from their home. Like, it's gotten brutally violent where this literally has turned brutally violent. So these talks are deeply emotional, okay? So I think that this is the docking on the moon base, all right? And this is the where you're really tapped into your own fears around this situation, your own subconscious fears coming into your consciousness, and handling it with a lot of balance and having a constructive communication about the violence that not only impacts you emotionally and psychologically, but it impacts the entire nation and other nations as well. Okay, when America is at war with a country, it is a huge influence on interpersonal relationships across the world. Not interpersonal, international, across nations, transnational relationships. So it could turn into like a beauty contest as well. It could turn into competing, you know, cultural identities. It can turn into fighting for dominance and control because it's rooted in a physical violence, literally. Like, the conflict has gotten so out of control. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So, let's keep going, friends. What is shifting for you within the next 72 hours? Your deep thoughts. Okay. Yeah, a lot of this is mediations, a conversation, a peace treaty, conversation about to be peaceful, okay? And then we have a good gen, right? Of course you do, okay? But you definitely have options, friends, and I think that most, you know, to reconcile these aggressive tensions, I think that you guys are exposing like deep thoughts and emotions, okay? And about how you're personally impacted actually makes you more relatable. Like, not, especially if you're in this like government official position, okay? You guys are members of the military. You know, people see you as this hard shell, right? And this person that influences the entire world, and your opinions and standards about things highly influences, you know, decision making in society and how other societies within and across societies relate to each other. So I think when you pull back from this macro world level and take it to to your personal experience with this brutal violence and how it's been impacting you emotionally and psychologically, that makes it more constructive, that makes it more real and human, more than this mechanical bull that has like this big authority or this big power, right? And I think that you definitely have like power in this mediation and this, like, you do hold important and valid opinions, and you usually stick to the validity and the facts about things, and they cannot deny you know, the results of some of this, okay? And how it's been negative, okay? How it's turned to spite and vengeance, right? And have not been a constructive dynamic exchange, right, between these warring factions or the warring country, okay? So it's really gotten aggressive, okay? So it's involving weapons, it's involving danger, okay? So some of you guys, you just take a vacation, y'all. You know, you might be like, oh my God, there's this risk of brutal violence on my home, right? Like these assassination attempts, or people literally, you know, this isn't, if you're just like the everyday civilian, you guys could just be, some of you guys are activists, or you are you do some kind of community service perhaps, and that could also make you, like, you are this person, this mediator or this liaison in the community that's beneficial, but it could also make people turn aggressive because it represents a power, authority, or just like territorial thing, okay, about the weapons or something like that, okay. So I think that you guys just, LOL, this eye coming out again, shocked everybody, okay. Okay, welcome to the collective, girly, okay. Pretty hurts, right? LOL, but you are the angel of peaceful relationships, Archangel Samuel, okay. You are definitely a fair mediator, friend, and it's like these communications are just really constructive and have opened people up to forgiveness in this matter after getting violent, after tussling for the muscling, you know what I'm saying? Like, relax, friends, it's not that deep, you know. Some people have literally started committing crimes, you know, if you're like the everyday civilian, right? You know, people could just be like committing crimes against your house and trying to steal things from you, like, you know, petty theft at the gym and stuff like that. So like, it's just, you're in this matter, you know, you're learning about an unconditional love, okay. With the cat energy, you know, I think that after all this emotional, psychological impact, you guys stop fighting about the weapons and start learning that this conflict with you, you know, this conflict that has really been harmful, emotionally, okay. It has not just been about money, it's been emotional, violence, it's been emotionally taxing on everybody, okay. But I think that you guys have realized that that's doing more damage than it is doing good. A lot of you guys are finding romantic love during this time of war, LOL. And a lot of people, you know, I think that what you're mediating is something pretty, friend. I think that you're like, oh damn, like, I didn't know that it was that deep with the moon doc, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know with the moon base it was going to be all deep like that, you know. And I think that your ability to achieve unconditional love and find an inner peace and forgive others who have hurt you have actually, with this Archangel Samuel energy, have actually shocked everyone, okay. Something where you might have told someone that they could stay, or you told someone that they didn't have to go to prison or something like that, LOL. Something where you're saying, look, we choose peace, okay. We don't want to get so violent with these weapons and things, right? So you know, something about this war has hurt us in America, but we are back and we're strong again, okay. LOL. So you know, a lot of this is also because, you know, these people, their beauty pales in comparison to yours. And this is the pretty problem that you're having to negotiate. You're like, I want to have peace and I want to make sure everyone feels beautiful, right? I think that you guys have been, there is someone that you used to work with, is what I'm hearing as well. And this person had a pretty problem with you. And usually they would be the one that will be like, I don't know, something where, you know, kind of shifting gears a little bit from the news, but kind of like if this is like a work relationship, an everyday interaction or something like that, this person you came into an environment and you shocked the fuck out of everybody with how pretty you were. And like, it was because somebody was used to getting a privilege, and when you came around, it was not that, okay. They were like, they were like the juicy tea and was shifting in the next 72 hours. The juicy tea shift is that your pretty was really harmful to you, actually. Like, this brutal violence against your beauty was actually like really, really harmful, okay. And so you're injured and hurt. Like, this is not just a, oh my god, you have a big booty. It's a, oh my god, someone attacked my home, someone stole my possessions, someone, you know, broke and entering, stole my car, you know what I'm saying, crashed into me, like, you know, tried to rob my whole life, you know what I'm saying. Like, that's crazy and wild that some of y'all have been getting harassed on social media. Like, you guys have been able to find an inner peace after all this brutal violence against your home. Like, some of y'all had to take a bitch to court. Like, that was wild, unbeknownst, because your beauty getting tussling, right? You know, get tussling, and it's been very emotional for everybody, right? But you didn't know that it was so deep, right? And I think that you have been able to forgive and find love and peace in the matter, and find a soft spot for these people. You know, you've always been a friend and ally to them. You haven't been wanting to see them hurt, and you know, you haven't been wanting to see them without peace. But I think that they have really started getting violent about your beauty, Okay, so this is not, you know, your forgiveness is shocking everybody. Okay, the peaceful communications and relationships that you've manifested after these brutal violence has been shocking everybody as well. Okay, so you're so, your heart is so big, and but there's no more suicidal empathy. There's no more, you know, just getting, you know, bashed because you're pretty or something like that. Yeah, recovery in this matter, right? You know, especially this situation where Iran has gotten out of control. Okay, the fight about the weapons. You know, these people are, you know, these people have been projecting. Okay, with the Page of Pentacles, they just been wanting to sabotage America's influence. Okay. But yeah, there's somebody here. This, like, this feminineness was in the environment, you know, like, especially if this was about your beauty, this feminine was just like, they were used to receiving a privilege, and a lot of them were just cloud chasers, or they were just people who didn't have any goals and plans in life. They were just like losers, right? They didn't know how to do anything. They're not smart, right? But I think that, like, you're so unconditionally loving of everybody, and you see people's potential, and you're peaceful. But this person has a confidence issue that has gotten out of control. Okay, this could be an Aries, or this could have been some other woman. This could have been Aries man. Okay, but it could also have been a could have been an Aries woman, but it could also be a man that was, like, somebody was competing with you for a man, a relationship with this Aries man. Or there was, like, this could have been a this feels like a female that could have been in your environment, and you came, you know, I think that they were just like a privilege, or they were just like they were just a idiot. Like, I'm not gonna say idiot. They were just not that, they were a loser, y'all, with the Page of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles, right? And you were just a big difference with them. You know, you reflected back a secure version of pretty. You know, some people might have considered them to be pretty before, right? They could have considered them to be the most talented, the most skillful before, right? They could have seen them as the person that stood out the most before. And then some of you guys came into an environment and you shocked them, and it was this person, their confidence issue just got out of control, and they were really trying to sabotage your influence in this place. They were really, you know, you shocked everybody, and you were just, this person was really scarce, I think. You know, they were not at all a reflection of you, even if they were mirroring your pretty, or they were mirroring the things that they found pretty about you. If they started copying what you were doing, wearing your clothes and dancing like you or something like that, then this person had a deep a subconscious fear that they kept projecting their confidence issues about. Okay, I think that you always have been, like, pretty fair about this situation, and I think that especially with the pretty hurts coming out, it just feels like you're the one that's more secure in this situation, and this person really you've really had to kind of recover since this person tried to undermine you, and it was very harmful to you. It was brutal, it was violent. This person in the environment, or this man, whoever was competing for a man in the environment, it was violence. So because it I think it could have attacked one of your deep and tenacious relationships, right? Because you had these deep thoughts and deep feelings with somebody, and then there was somebody that knocked you off, is what I'm hearing. Somebody knocked you off. They could have duped you, and they tried to, like, they tried to put you in like a more, like, a mini version, or they tried to put you in, like, a duped off version, or a generic version, right? They tried to make a lot of copies of your product or something like that. They tried to make a lot of variations of you to try to undermine and sabotage your influence. But that was really their emotional insecurities getting out of control, projecting your image because you were pretty. Okay, that's what's shifting for you guys in the next 72 hours. Okay, so let's get a few advice cards and little rap friends. That was kind of deep. That's the full moon base here, is where you know, this brutal violence of someone knocking you off or projecting your image to try to sabotage your influence was something that you had to recover from. And some of you guys are at court with this person for something that they did, like for copywriting or for a theft, a violence, something that they did, because it was like they tried to kind of, like, it was all an attack on your beauty, friend. Okay, whatever they did, whether this was intellectual property theft, you're just undermining your security. But I think that you were not totally holding a value or having an awareness of the value of your material things. And so that's what was reflected back to you, you know, with this moon base energy. Okay, is that you learned lessons also, right? And it became a reflection of you that you valued and found. But I think that this situation actually made you, this could have made you kind of scared, right? Because, you know, it was just somebody who became unhinged about your physical appearance. Okay, so, you know, some of y'all are at court having to guard your treasure, or having to somebody got a weapon, had pulled a weapon on you. Okay, some of them pulled a weapon on you because they projected so hard, right? And some of you guys have started mediating this crime. It could have been literally a crime, and everybody is shocked by what this person did. Okay, this is a deeply emotional situation for you, because you really did have to recover from something. Okay, so what's your advice, friend? Okay, so some of y'all had to take this person to court because they put a weapon on you or something like that. Okay, they really, it was about your beauty, and that's the moon. Okay, yeah, have peace, friend. Okay, that was bad that somebody attacked you because you were pretty. Okay, but you're so lucky during this time. Okay, the rabbit spirit, and then the porcupine spirit. Time for the beginner mind. Yeah, none of this person, that plan doesn't work. You know, this person is, you know, they were a detour. Okay, and this person, you know, if they knocked you off or duped you off or something like that, they literally don't know what to do with your shit. You know what I'm saying? This person does not, they can't mediate anything, is what I'm hearing. Okay, they don't have a defense. Some of you guys at court, they don't really have a defense. They don't really have a technical legal theory, and something where you're getting a proof, and this is like shocking everybody. Okay, that's what I'm saying, friends, about what's shifting for you in the next 72 hours. Let me know how this resonates, and I'll see y'all in the next one.